country talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. He's been good. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to scream, y'all. I want to scream, y'all. God has smiled on me. He has set me free.
Knew love like this before, 'cause I never knew love like this before.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his. And
It's Tuesday,
my life in LA.
November the 4th.
You know,
Do you know what
time it is. It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM. Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can call and express yourself on this election day. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net, go to live stream and go on the message board as the Mayor Rodney Jones of Queensbridge Houses in New York already is on the message board saying, power to the people, vote. D. Friday's on saying justice for Colby Friday. And Savannah Yemaine. Good morning, Reverend Sharpton and the chat. Nicola DeMarco, good afternoon, Reverend Nan family. You're reaching out and listening to activists and voters is what the Democratic Party and left should do. We need to keep it real. And you're so right. And then one of my favorite activists, extraordinary activists in New York, Evangelist Ramsey, says, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, and how are you doing today? For this is another day that the Lord has made, and I will be glad in it. And yes, you're right. 9 p.m. can't come soon enough. Why? So all the naysayers and backbiters and haters, the covers will soon expose them who talk loud and say nothing. Evangelist Ramsey right on it. Well, it's election day, and we're watching key elections around the country. You, of course, have the Proposition 50 in California, and that proposition for you in California and for people around the country that need to know, because there's very serious ramifications to that vote. If that proposition passes, it means then that they are empowering the California state legislature to redraw the congressional map, and the Democrats in charge are the majority of the legislature there, so they will redraw it, and it will hurt the Republicans, and people predict it will offset the seats, the 4 seats that the Republicans gerrymandered in Texas. So that's why it's important. We'll balance that out. Now, there are other states the Republicans are doing that the Democrats will have to try to find out. But the test is going to be, first, in a big state, the largest state in the country, California. That's one. Second, you have a serious race in Virginia between a black woman, very ultra-conservative, and a Democratic Congresswoman, Spanberger. And that looks like Spanberger's ahead in the polls, but we'll see. Then you have the race in New Jersey, and that one is between a Congresswoman who I think is a little tighter in the polls than it is in Virginia. Virginia, the Democrats, Spanberger's way ahead. Well, it's comfortably ahead. I won't say way ahead. It's tighter in New Jersey, and the candidates there, Cheryl and Mikey Sherrill is the Democrat, and the Republican is supported by Trump. And then you've got the big race right here in New York City, and it's Zoran Mamdani, who is the Democratic nominee, and he's against the Republican nominee, Curtis Sliwa, and the independent former governor, Andrew Cuomo. And many of you probably saw, I was on Morning Joe this morning with Mamdani, and the polls were saying he's going to win. But last night, President Donald Trump endorsed Cuomo. Cuomo, a Democrat, until he lost the Democratic primary this year. Father was a Democratic governor. Now is being endorsed by the King of MAGA, and who's not endorsing the Republican. Trump is the head of the Republican Party. He's not endorsing the Republican. He's telling people, don't vote for Curtis Sliwa, vote for Cuomo. And I think that makes it clear when Mamdani is saying that a vote for Cuomo is a vote for Trump. That's going to resonate with some people. We'll see where these races all end tonight when the polls close. I can tell you there's reports of big turnouts everywhere. And I think that we all ought to really, 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 if you haven't voted, wherever you are, there are judges' races, very serious judges' races in Philadelphia. If you haven't voted wherever you are, if you're not in California, if you're not in Pennsylvania, if you're not in New Jersey, if you're not in Virginia, not New York City, where there's a lot of high-profile races, doesn't mean that there are not some serious races in your state and county. Vote today if you haven't voted already. Prairie Carrington says, rest in peace, former Vice President Dick Cheney, who passed away on yesterday. Yeah, I was on the set at MSNBC Morning Joe when they announced he had passed, and I disagreed with Dick Cheney on just about everything. When I ran for president in 2004, he was one of my main targets. He was the architect around the Iraqi war and the weapons of mass destruction. But he stood up for what he believed. I think he was sincere. And at the end, he stood with his daughter, who stood up to Donald Trump. And he said Donald Trump should not be trusted with power. And he was one of the hawks and leaders of the Republican Party. So I say that he and I didn't agree on anything till the end. But I respect people that stand for what they believe. He wasn't one-sided and then flipped the other side. He was what he was. And sometimes if you've been out here as long as I have, you learn to respect folks for at least being consistent, because at least you feel they're not a phony. Now, I mean, I agree with them, but and I never will say that they were correct morally or politically to be talking about weapons of mass destruction that was not there. But I believe that Cheney believed that, he represented that, and I'm happy at the end he stood up and said what he said about Trump and did something that I never thought I'd hear or see. Now he was voting for Kamala Harris. And I said, wow, that's interesting. And Happiness Donuts is asking an interesting question on our message board. She says, are they lowering the flags for Cheney? It's an interesting question. Since he was against Trump, said that Trump should never be near power, we're going to see if Trump's going to respect him like he just lowered the flags for Kirks, who never was vice president or nothing else elected. Interesting question. Got to give it to you, Happiness Donuts. I didn't think about that one. It's going to be very telling how selective he is. So that's the elections. By the way, as important, more important, the shutdown continues. Federal workers are not getting their jobs. And despite the fact that 2 courts have said take discretionary funds and pay off SNAP, they've not said that they're paying off SNAP and how they're going to do it. There's going to be a lot to talk about today. Let's load up our calls at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or go on the message board at live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
When they can't kill the dreamer. No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want?
we are the sons and the daughters. We gonna stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go.
No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gonna stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people, and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about, and he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton. And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Black. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunity, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP people Defense Fund was together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in the
You live, sir, you live.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Opening up the phones and the message board. Don't forget, we will definitely be hot and heavy on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. both Saturday evening and Sunday evening Eastern Time. We'll have a complete analysis of the implications and inferences that comes out of today's election and up to the minute on where we are on the shutdown and on the SNAP benefits. I'm already talking to governors, members of Congress, getting them on alert to be ready because whatever the outcome is, we want them on Politics Nation. And I think that is imperative. So watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 on MSNBC on Saturday and Sunday. You that are in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, be at the Saturday Action Rally in Harlem. It will be the Where Do We Go From Here rally. Once the election is over, where do we go? With Prop 50 decided in California. Where do we go? Do we go to another state and do a prop? Did that prop fail? And what happens? Where do we go? And we'll know tonight on Prop 50. Where do we go in Pennsylvania? Where do we go with the judges in Pennsylvania, whether they win or lose? Where do we go in Virginia, whether Spanberger wins or loses? What do we do in New Jersey, whether Sherrill wins or loses and the MAGA guy gets in? What do we do in New York if Zoran Mondani wins or loses? So that's what the rally is going to be about Saturday. People will know tonight and tomorrow. They'll be reacting Thursday and Friday, but we need a sense of direction. And it may be different in different situations, but we need to have an action plan. So be at the Saturday Action Rally Saturday morning, 9 to 11, 9 a.m. to 11. You that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television. And a lot of you are watching. I'm watching the live feeds. A lot of you watch on Impact Television. A lot of you watch on YouTube or at live stream at National Action Network. And that we are absolutely clear on. All right, let's go to the phones and our message pad. Let me see. Happiness Donut says local elections matter. I believe that is correct. And I think that it is important that we go forward and do what we're supposed to do. Let's start with Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio, WERE. Demetrius.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just want to speak. I'm concerned the Republican Party, the way it is now compared to when Dick Cheney was vice president. Even though he had no conservative ways, and the Republican Party was still doing things to hinder people from voting. But now the Republican Party, it's more, to me, it's like a cult is centered around one man. Because you look at the judges who made the ruling, that the government should fund the SNAP program. But Donald Trump would take among itself to deny those funds. When Dr. King's birthday was made a national holiday, even though the Republican Party, some of the states didn't want to agree with it, and President Reagan didn't agree with it, but he did sign into law. Now, I believe the president now, Donald Trump, was in office, he would do his best to not to sign into law. But that's the contrast to me of the state of this country and how the Republican Party is rallying around someone who's trying to destroy the American institutions, the court system, the educational system, the judicial system, I believe that's why some Republicans they see that. That's why they endorse Kamala Harris. They do things that are contrary to some people in this country for their own benefit. But when the law was laid out, they had to do certain things. They had no a record, but to do it, they followed the law. But it's where this country is now. It's like what Donald Trump wanted to do. He wanted to be done, or he's going to threaten other people who don't fall in line. So it's more like going to a one-party country, or it's following someone who wants all the attention to himself. And it's a sad state of being to the United Democracy, to the American people, and to have bigotry and bring back racial hatred, what we've been trying to destroy for centuries in this country, and to take away the progress that the civil rights movement, the human rights movement, and what liberal Americans, not just liberal, people who stood up for rights, some conservatives, they stand up for is right. It's right. They have conservative ways about certain other things. You have some Democrats have conservative ways about certain things. But now, you have someone in office now who's manipulating the system for its own benefit. But he's really not a conservative. Because like I said yesterday, when it comes to situated with Venezuela and Nigeria, he wanted to invade the country for moral reasons, say because of drugs or because of Christians. But at the same time, he's not carrying out Christian behavior here in the United States. We're denying people equal rights, denying people food here, and denying them medical care. So he's not following Christian principles. To me, he's just using the system. He's using false morality to carry out his own means, his own ego, his aim to be a dictator or a strong man of this country. And I believe, Congress have to come together, American people have to come together to stand up for this country, to stand up for their rights, and don't give up their rights, to one person. Even though he say he's going to look out for the people going to follow him. Push come to shove, he's going to look out for himself or anyone disagree with him. Like he said, like he's doing now, he's going to attack the court system, he's going to attack individuals, the judges, lawyers. So American people have to stand up all institutions, and when they go to the polls today, you have to vote for judges, you have to vote for city councilmen. You're going to stand up to them if you want to send troops into their city. You got to vote for mayors who's going to resist that, going to stand up for it, for their city independent, and stand up for their police force to handle their own business, not leave it up to one person who just want to spread his authority all over the country. To have no resistance to what he feel was right. So it's very important for you to think about that to the polls, because these state and local elections are very important, because he's trying to really infiltrate all levels of government. So there'll be no resistance to what he want to do, was not equal for all Americans.
Absolutely.
Right,
thank you for your call. Tanya Stovall says, I totally agree with Tricia. We need to send a statement to Trump and his administration that we will be strong against them. And Happy Donut is saying it's early, Tricia. It's early, optimistic. We got this. Yet get people out to vote. Get them out, get them out, get them out. Let's take a break. Be right back. More of you on the phones and on the message board. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there, and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf, because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. Some people report the news, others interpret it, but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Ari understands that our narratives shape our nation, and he has used his platform to highlight issues that matter to the people, not just to the powerful. Tonight we honor him for bridging art and activism, for using his voice to educate, inspire, and empower. Join me, please, in celebrating Ari Melba, recipient of the President's Award of Historic Transformative Leadership.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? First of all, Babyface is 67 years old. We might need a fact check on that. What an honor to be up here with Rev and everyone else. When Rev started out, they said, he's just doing this to get on TV. Now he has a TV show. He kept along and they said, well, he's just setting himself up to run for office, be a politician. Now he has the politicians coming here to be accountable to you. We're celebrating his 71st birthday, God bless. I don't think he's planning to run for office in his late 70s or 80s, although people do that nowadays. I don't know if you've heard. So as far as I can tell, maybe he was doing it for the people. Maybe he was doing it for voting rights and human rights and being an advocate for people in communities where when bad things do happen, they don't have a local advocate or a federal advocate, or suddenly it doesn't feel like they have anyone who cares about what's happening to them. So it's funny, in the middle you can't always prove the case, but by this stage in his illustrious contributions to the United States, he's doing it for everyone. So shout out to Rev. I'm really honored to get this award. My grandmother was a refugee. My father's an immigrant. Like a lot of other people that I get to interact with, I'm very aware that my worst days are better than some of their best days. And so I keep that in mind, and I know Rev does and a lot of other people do. This award was called Leadership in the Arts. I'm honored by it. I love the arts. I won't say whether I've ascended to being a leader in the arts, but I will share with you the leaders I learned from. I learned civil rights from Sam Cooke. I learned about colonialism from Bob Marley. I learned about activism from Gil Scott-Heron. He said the revolution will not be televised. We're working on that. Rev and I are working on that. I learned about the media from KRS-One. I learned about politics from Public Enemy. I learned about police brutality from Tupac and about feminism from Lauryn Hill. So when I was growing up, I did okay in school, but I was quickly learning as a teenager there was all of these parts that weren't in the official story, but they were true. So yes, we try to reflect some of that in our reporting. In times like this right now in America, art and free speech are under attack. It's not just the historians, bless them. It's not just the normal newspaper reporters, bless them. It's also the comedians, from Kimmel to D.L. Hughley. It's also the artists. We've seen the crackdowns on people who sing or share their thoughts through other forms of expression. And so, in a moment like this, as we've seen in, unfortunately, other countries around the world, it feels like just telling the truth becomes a radical act. That's a bad sign for the health of your democracy. But the
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, the Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's go right back to the phones, 1-877-532-5797. I want to hear from some of you, too, that voted today, and tell me how the turnout was at your voting site. You that voted, you that are going to vote, it's election day. All right, let's go to Wale in Manhattan, New York. Wale. Is Wale there?
Hello?
Yes.
Hey, Rev.
Hey.
Okay, so, I just got back from voting. Now that Ashley and Dominic guilt me into it. Because they was at the rally talking about, if everybody don't vote, and this and that. So I went out and voted. But,
Now, what borough do you vote in?
I'm in Manhattan.
How was the turnout?
Slow, but it's still early, right?
Okay.
But, people was coming in. As I was going out, there was people coming in.
Okay.
It was a line. So it's picking up. And the lady at I worked the polls before, too. So some of us are just a little slow at learning stuff. So I get that can happen. But she gave everybody on my line affidavit, and it didn't scan. So the lady came over and said, no wonder it's not scanning. It's an affidavit. Those are for mail-in votes.
Right.
So we had to go back to the table. So that's about 5 or 6 affidavits that's going to get wasted. Okay. Then, so she gave us the right ones. I wrote in for Dr. Salma K. Bartholomew because I don't particularly like anyone running for mayor because I'm a New Yorker. I see what goes on. I see how, by being a Democrat all my life and seeing how in the past 10 years, the criminals are winning. The police department, the city council, the district leaders, they all working in cahoots together, and the regular people can't get a prayer. I remember a bunch of gangsters was walking down the street one day, and they was going past the community precinct, and one of them said, we got the cops on our side, okay? So we can't seem to win no matter what we do. But I do know this, from being a tenant leader, a voted-in tenant leader. I didn't get in unopposed because nobody voted, challenged me. I got in because of votes, not unopposed. And I put in the work, but they don't want decent people. They don't want people who's going to teach the tenants how they can be better tenants and make it work for them. They don't want that. They just want to, if you're a criminal, you're fine. There's no X on your back. But getting back to the elections, I said I'm gonna vote for Bartholomew. I heard her debate. She was interviewed by this HNN, Harlem Networking, whatever they call it. She sounds really, really good. And because Dominique and Ashley guilt me into voting, folk think you don't say. Okay, so I said, well, I gotta vote. So I went in and did it, and I didn't feel as guilty because I had a sister that I could vote for mayor, but I had to write her name in. And so, Reverend Sharpton, I'm gonna stop, but I'm just, I'm really.
All right, thank you for your call. I'll tell Dominique and Ashley that y'all guilted while they in the voting. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Disco Brian, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Rev, did you hex me with like a Midas touch or something? Have you blessed me, Rev?
I'll try to bless everybody. What happened?
I mean, I was shocked and delighted right after I talked to you yesterday. I was at the doctor, and then I get a call at the local number, and it said Malcolm Kenyatta. So I got a call from the vice chair. I mean, I don't know how that happened, Rev. We talked for 15 minutes. I shared with him some of the concerns I share with you, and we really seemed to resonate. He's like, yeah, here's my number, call whenever. Rev, so I don't know what you've done to me, but ever since I've been coming to Keeping It Real, life's been getting at least cooler and cooler. Let me just say that. And
Malcolm Kenyatta is a very good, progressive, but level-headed guy, and he does my show a lot. And the young guy, I think he's going to go far and, more important, do a lot for the people.
He's touched by the same divine forces you and C. Writer touched by, obviously. And so, yeah, I've been a huge fan. I wanted him in that Senate race of 2022. He was my favorite candidate over, the one that won, the guy that's now breaking bread with Laura Trump, Mr. John Fetterman. Yeah. And let's not forget, Rev, I hate to say it, but I got to go there. The first senator to endorse John Fetterman was the senator from Virginia named Bernie Sanders. But, Rev, I voted in Philly today, voted straight Democratic, re-electing Larry Krasner for DA, and to keep the 3 Supreme Court judges. So I did my duty.
Now, Krasner's up today?
Yeah, Krasner's up against this Dugan guy, this Republican fraud. So, yeah, Krasner for DA. So if y'all have not voted, if you're listening via WURD here in Philly, vote for Krasner and retain all 3 of those Supreme Court judges.
All right.
That's my message.
All right. Thank you for your call. And Leslie Jennings says, Disco Brian is holding it down in Philly. Got a fan in Leslie Jennings. You have a fan there, Disco Brian. Let me go to Anita in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Anita.
Hi, Reverend Al.
Hi.
So glad to hear you. You got to keep that. You're keeping hope alive for God. From the beginning of time, you're doing this, Reverend Al. You're carrying, you're carrying this, and it's a load, but you're going to make it through this because God's going to be with you. And Jesus has allowed you that ability to understand how to do it. So don't panic. No one. Please don't panic. But Marjorie Taylor Greene was on The View today, and I'm so grateful. The View is supporting some very good concepts for people and the dignity and freedom of women. And I don't mean just to, hang out in the street. But she's disagreeing and staying to her party. But that at least there's some conversation, and I'm so grateful that you're here for us, Reverend Al, as women, because some men are so dominant, that they don't know where to stop, and you can't stop them physically if you're a woman, because if you got children, you can't get out there and clown with them like that other than shooting them. But anyway, I just wanted to say about this redistricting, this is terrible. They're trying to make sure they win no matter what, and they're taking our democracy away by doing this. And I'm grateful for the guy in California that's standing up to them. And I'm grateful that you're there so that he can feel that he can do this, because this was the freedom that Martin Luther King spoke about without the violence. And Marjorie Taylor Greene did say she was against the war. So Martin Luther King was just so key in world history right now as far as practicing Jesus Christ's way of peaceful and people getting along, even if when they get another chance, to get themselves straight with God or not get themselves straight with God. But we're trying to get ourselves straight with God, and I think that's going to work. But what I want to tell you real quick, Reverend Al, the Interfaith Council here is the group that feed people every day, twice a day. They used to do it 3 times a day, and they have the homeless shelters, okay? And there's a lot of drug addiction here in this area, and so there's a lot of homelessness, too, because of the price, too. So that's why I want you to be in touch with Chapel Hill in this college area, because the people are really looking for guidance, and they're very open to you. Matter of fact, the person with affordable housing says you are welcome anytime. And I tried to leave my information with your person, but I didn't. I don't know if I didn't stay on the phone long enough or what, but I didn't get a chance to leave the information last time.
All right, well, y'all hold on and get it now. Thank you for your call. Let me go to Chicago. My ace, Boone Coon, haven't talked to him in a while. He's on the west side, says it's the best side of Chicago. Frank, Brother Frank, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
And it is. Hey, Brother Al Sharpton, everyone knows. But I'm proud. Lord have mercy. You're talking about a busy man. I have been busy. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that.
That's good.
I heard the call out for me.
Yeah, they did.
And I tried to get in, but my show got banged on. Can you hear me?
Yes, man. Yes, sir. I hear you. No, they've been calling out for you. They've been calling for you.
And they sure have, and I heard them too, and I'm going to say that. But let me real quick before I make a comment on Democrat. I'm going to do real quick, but I need to do a very serious update on one of our Did You Know This? And that's for those who were not up on it. We went over the book of government benefits, zero in on Social Security, all the programs we went over that have been, and resources that have been available to us for decades. See, like everyone else knew about it but us. Well, one of our top main ones, I think my main one, this is Social Security survivors benefits for minor children who has lost one or both of their parents. There's been a change. You can tell the Republicans stuck their hand in this. Now, and this is not in the book. This, as I've been helping out others, now they are saying, people understand this, you got 2 years to file for the benefit out of the death, out of the decease of the parent or parents. They got 2 years to file for it. And second on this right here, now they are attaching to the deceased parents how much they paid off into Social Security, FICA, F-I-C-A. So you sisters out there, you dating these hustlers and stuff, and you getting pregnant by them, they're doing real good now. But something happened to them, okay? Social Security said, you got nothing coming because you ain't paid nothing into FICA. So get him in with a job. Stay next on to him. You got to have a job if you want to be with me. Okay, sisters? Be careful out there now. Those are 2 changes. Real quick, Reverend Al, Lord have mercy. I went through a period of depression myself. I'm not Superman. And I was kind of like depressed all the way the Democrats are doing with Donald Trump. Jeffries, minority Speaker Jeffries, you hang in there tough. Don't budge an inch. If you give them a continued resolution, we're just going to be right back here after this done. So you hang tough. Don't open the government. Main part, I'm depressed about the Democrats, Reverend Al, instead of them in the blue states, like here in Chicago, no, we dominate everything. Instead of them doing what they can easily do to neutralize everything Donald Trump is doing resource-wise, they doing the opposite, as if they want to put a pain too to keep us in line. Well, you ain't got to do that. If you're doing a universal health care, you don't have to worry about what they're doing with Medicaid. If you're doing a universal basic guaranteed income, you don't have to worry about what's happening with SNAP because you're above the threshold. If you're doing a universal education, K through 16, any state could do this. We're now very easy blue states and stop flipping these red states. Let the red state supporters of Donald Trump, let them suffer. You do a universal education local in your own state, you can teach whatever you want to teach. You can teach DEI and all that stuff. That's what had me suppressed. I would love to see J.B. Pritzker on Politics Nation answer that question. Why won't you take care of all this stuff locally? Because he won't come to black on radio here. I haven't heard him yet, Reverend. Now.
Is that right?
That had me depressed, but I'm over it now.
Is that right? Wow, I didn't know that. Wait a minute, hold on a minute, Frank. Let me take my break. I want you to finish this. I did not know that Pritzker has not been on Black Radio. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton on Election Day. Be right back. I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors. But there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I help formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
Joining James Brown, Muhammad Ali, and myself now from New York City is the Reverend Al Sharpton. And Mr. Brown, James, I'd like to ask you about this young man, how you came to meet him, and what the National Youth Movement, which he represents, is all about. Tell me something about it.
It's about teaching young kids the right way to go, and the things to be involved in education. Don't be a dropout, which is one thing I'm very much behind. Unless kids have guidance, they have no place to go. And the idea is to try to mold them. I mean, we think of anything, we think of it as a baby. And what we mold them to be is what it will be later on. He used to stand at my back door, and he believed in what I said, the Don't Be a Dropout program, and the fact of helping kids and giving the right idol and the right image to go with, cleaning, grooming, and wanting to work, wanting to be something. I started as a kid, a juvenile delinquent, you know, and everything. Had no model. And I was able to be a model for a young man like this. And what he turned out to be is a minister, and he preaches the right thing, and I'm for him 1,000%. I'm for everything he's about.
Mr. Sharpton, how national right now is the National Youth Movement? Is it something new? Has it been going on for a while? Do you have a stated number of members? Tell me something about it.
Well, we don't really get into a numbers game because that's been a trick that has been played for the last 20 years. What we're basically interested in doing is saying to young people of impoverished backgrounds that there are people like a Muhammad Ali and a James Brown that represents hope to us. Because these people, despite all of the social odds, despite the unemployment statistics, despite the lack of education in their day, were able to grow and be something that we can be proud of. A man like me didn't have a father at home, but I had a James Brown to look up to and would want to sing and dance like him, or Muhammad Ali, who I saw stand up and give away millions of dollars of stamps to the government so that I would have a right to come 10 or 20 years later and try to fight for my kids. So what we're saying is there are symbols and images that kids can look up to and not have to throw a brick through a window, but that can work by the sweat of their brow and succeed just like these two gentlemen did.
But considering the numbers of young kids today, and Rev, there are hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of kids who really are in hopeless and desperate situations, is it enough to just offer them an example?
You say hopeless, though. Not hopeless.
Well, let's say, well, to them, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids,
it's never hopeless. There's no such thing as hopeless. It's never hopeless. When I got 8 to 16 years for breaking and entering as a kid, because I was hungry, and here I am today, it's not hopeless. Don't say hopeless. Then we're carving out. I don't believe in hopeless. Don't you think it's hope? If you believe in something, try. No such hopeless. I don't believe in hopeless. We're not going to go with that. And I think he's not about teaching them how to get out and fight for themselves. That's what it's about. No, it's not hopeless. Everybody has a cause and everything, but everybody want to live. And I think living is what we're about. We're not going to teach dying. Hopeless is dying.
I agree with you 100%, James. But what I'm trying to ask here is simply saying, you too can be a James Brown or a Muhammad Ali. Is that enough to give a kid who's hungry, who doesn't know where his next meal is coming?
I'll say it.
Give him somewhere to go.
I think it's awful weak to tell a kid, you can be a James Brown, one of the greatest entertainers in the world, and me, one of the greatest fighters. And like you said, the hundreds of thousands of millions of kids that need a break. You can't have that many great people, but they can get educated, they can go to school, they can learn. I'd like to say one thing. We have crime today, it's a big problem. I think they took a national vote on what the people want the government to spend most of the money on, and crime was over national defense. Worrying about Russia, China, outside enemies, they're worrying about inside crime. We have crime today, all type prostitution, murder, exploitation, degradation, and wars of all kinds. And I'm going to tell you why everything's happening. And I think if you're intelligent, you agree with it. If we were riding an airplane and the two pilots died for some reason, is there anybody in this room that can go in the cockpit, pick up the radio, start working it, bring the plane in, depressurize it as it land, and make it and late at night on a stormy day? You couldn't do it.
Right.
Well, but if you learn how to fly, or if they show you how to fly, you can. Since God made the world and God made us, He sent the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, sent Moses, Jesus, Noah, to show us how to run the world. And God left His laws. If we don't follow His laws, then we crash.
Let me say this, though, Mr. Snyder, in response to your question to Mr. Brown, Mr. Ali. Yes, it is enough to begin with showing them an example, because before you get to education, you need motivation. If you don't have motivation to get out of the bed, you won't make school or the party. And what we try to do by showing a James Brown or Muhammad Ali is not that you can be a great champion maybe like Ali or a great entertainer like James Brown, but if you use the same initiative that they did to make him get up 5 in the morning and run 10 miles and just have a dream and to come back 3 times and accomplish that dream, to have more hits than anybody in the world, even when the music world wouldn't give him credit.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. 1-877-532-5797. And I'm talking with my ace boon coon, Frank. Frank, a couple of people is texting me, Beverly Mims Taylor, saying that is not true about Pritzker. I'm from Chicago. He's been on WVON 1690 many times. And maybe Rev should let Frank know I've heard him on 1690. But go ahead, Frank.
I would love her to state which show. Not the Rufus Williams show. Not the Cleopatra show. What we call him, Big Mac. They come on at 3 o'clock. Matt McGill. Matt McGill show. Now he made that come on to the nighttime show, which I doubt. Tell her name, which show. I've heard LaShawn Ford, Danny K. Davis, Brandon Johnson, many times, Speaker Welch, even Tammy Duckworth. And those who don't catch on other shows, they are famous. They would do promos on. I have not heard J.B. Pritzker not one time on any of those shows.
I tell you what, I'm going to invite him on this show and on my TV show. Let's see if he comes on.
There you go. And that's what's been said. He's been invited, but they get no response. So tell us the name of the show. I'm going to move on for that.
All right.
Okay. Reverend, now, like I was saying with the Democrats, and JB I think he is mounting a run for the White House. But it's going to be pretty weak looking if you can win your own state. Everything can be covered and neutralized here. Last but not least, before I hop off, I don't know how it is going on in other cities and other states when it comes to ICE and the arrests and everything. They probably not showing what's going on here in Chicago. But people in Chicago, in Illinois, they are not taking this sitting down. They are doing some serious and hard pushback, from pushing and shoving to throwing rotten eggs, rotten tomatoes, rocks, and now bullets. Y'all probably not heard nothing about that. I don't condone violence in any kind of way, but that keg of dynamite that Malcolm X talking about that we sitting on for decades, one of these sparks is going to kick it off, so people just be ready for it. Don't be surprised for it. I'm still waiting here for Tiller. Text back here and tell me which show she heard JB on.
All right.
Let him answer some questions every now. Thank you, brother. And we'll have a great day. See you next time.
Thank you for your call. Let me go to Ira in Washington, D.C. Ira, you're keeping it real with Sharpton.
Hey, good evening, Reverend Sharpton. Just want to give you a quick shout and have an insight on something. In reference to 4547, the big, beautiful BS bill, he done lost his mind. He got these people all messed up, and he got people in place to tamper with these computers. I know they're listening, but to tamper with these computers so that when the votes come from even YT people are voting against him in all places that he got sense, there's no way they can win. And they got to cheat to win. They got a gerrymander. It's still not going to work because there's a lot of YT people who don't feel that way. So I suggest everybody go and do what you got to do. Everybody voted last time, and they rigged and manipulated the machines. But we're going to overcome this time. I don't care what they do. They can't win. They can't win at all. That's my statement for today, Russ Sharpton.
All right. Thank you for your call. Let me go to Jewel in New York City. Jewel.
Yes, good afternoon, Reverend Al.
Good afternoon.
Forgive my voice is pleasant. Yes, it's such a pleasure and a blessing to hear your voice. I just want to thank you. You know, it's a big, big, big blessing for you to inspire all of us. You know, you don't discriminate, and I want to thank you so much for your heart and your leadership in these times. It's such a blessing and a comfort to know that we have you looking out for everybody, Reverend Al. It's such a privilege. I just have to let you know how much you mean to this family.
Well,
Amen.
I appreciate that.
You.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. You get so much criticism out here and distortions that when you get a kind word from somebody like you, it means more than you can ever guess.
Yes, because when certain things, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters? Come on, laugh.
That was cute. I like that. All right. Thank you for your call. Let me go back to Chicago to Tommy. Tommy, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Rev, let me unequivocally say this to you, because at such a time as this, and good afternoon to all of Reverend Sharpton's listening audience. I said it before and I say it again. If they won't listen to you, Rev, I pretty much ain't got nothing else to talk about, because it's pretty much, it's crystal clear as to what is going on. And for any black person to show up and act like they brand new, and I have nothing but adoration, love, and deep respect for Frank. But for Frank to be sitting up talking about shooting at ICE, personally, I would shoot you myself, because for you to put the American citizens, especially in our communities, especially they didn't put these people any other place but in our communities, from all these other states that are sending these people in here supposedly law and order. And there has to be something wrong right now, Reverend, when a conscious, free, tax, law-abiding citizen is now sitting at their table in New York City, and they are dealing with the fact that the President of the United States of America say, if you vote for that man, oh, ain't no more money coming to your place. Ain't no more money coming to your city. This is where America is. It's not Saturday Night Live. It's not funny. And even the suggestion of shooting and violence is just absurd and insane. We are a civilized people. And when we come to us as a people, we didn't ask to come here, but we didn't just now show up here. We've been here. And if it wouldn't be for people, that's why you are where you are, Rev. And I just want to leave you with this. I had the great opportunity to speak with one of your role buddies, Senior Hatch, with a Reverend Dr. Hatch and his son.
Yeah, Marshall Hatch.
I look at you.
Good man.
Yes. More than every time you came to Chicago up there and went up there, I was there, and I went to his service. I mean, the truth is, it is a moment in a time. It's something wrong with you if you would stop and say to yourself that this country would cut off 42 million individuals, and we're not in no kind of crisis except for lawlessness. And we voted for it, Rev. And then when you start talking the way I am, people want to say, you're emotional. Hell, man, at such a time as this, you ought to be emotional. Stay off of the street. Let people who know what they're doing do it. But as far as violence, as far as Rev, not one community, not one store, I don't care, big, small, or indifference, even the ones where they hang out, not one of them was damaged or attacked, because we made it crystal clear. Not today, not this way, and we're not coming to shoot or hurt or beat nobody, but you're not going to destroy these communities. This is all we got. Goodbye, Rev.
All right, thank you for your. Well, I definitely agree. We should not in any way encourage people to go out there and use violence or confrontation. Yes, they ought to resist, but resist in a way that gets your point across. And as you all know, I only advocate nonviolent protest. Let me go to Andre J. in Chicago. Andre J., you're keeping it real with Sharpton.
Let's go to break.
Wait a minute. Hold up, Andre. Let me take my break. I'll be right back and go to you first. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the picking. You have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They came for the dream. No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
we are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We never shine, never shade. Give me a papa God, rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton. extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Black. We don't want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they started at Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP people Defense Fund together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one Black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence.
You ready, sir?
Yeah.
You live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to Andre J. in Chicago. Andre. Andre's not there.
Hey, hello, Real.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, look, I want to back up what Frank said, because I too monitor the radio, and whereas I have nothing personally against Governor Pritzker, he hasn't been on none of the radio stations on WVON. Now, if somebody heard him on, it might have been playing some sort of clip of him making some announcement on the.
Wait a minute. Somebody moving your mic around or something.
Move my mic around?
Go ahead. You're all right.
Okay, so yeah, now somebody might have got a clip of Pritzker somewhere, and might have heard it on the television station, because he's been on the television stations here, but he hasn't been on WVON. But his representatives have. Juliana Stratton has been on WVON answering some questions, but Pritzker hasn't. I don't know what it is, but I got nothing bad to say about Pritzker. Could we improve here in the state of Illinois? Yeah, we can improve in the state of Illinois, because I would like to see some fixed rates on the utilities here. You know, the electric, people's electric gas. I'd like to see a fixed rate for the senior citizens. The rest of the people that got jobs can pay, but when it comes to senior citizens, they should have by now negotiated a flat rate that seniors pay for their electric and their gas, because they need them, and some of them got different machines and stuff at home that they use, so that they need the electric. But he done a good thing here by getting rid of those payday loans. We don't have no payday loans here in Illinois no more because Pritzker got them shut down because they was taking advantage of the black people that needed money from paycheck to paycheck with them Jews loans. And so I do give him credit for that. But yeah, we need improvement. But he wasn't. I just want to back up what Brother Frank.
So you said with those huge loans.
Yeah, those payday loans. See, we had an influx of payday loans here in Illinois. I mean, they was opening.
No, I heard that. I was just making sure that the word you use. All right. So let me ask you this. Notwithstanding that, how do you view the whole question of the resistance that has been ongoing with the whole movement against Trump? Because as I said this morning on Morning Joe to Mandani, that if he wins tonight, that I think that Trump is going to send ICE, and everybody else in here to New York. How do you see the resistance movement and how it should be dealt with?
Well, if they send the ICE there to New York, I think we should deal with it just like you and the rest of the civil rights leaders have done in the past. I mean, we've been met with resistance before, whether it's the Edmund Pettus Bridge or whether it's the Montgomery bus boycott. We definitely resisted, but it's going to take unity. We got to come against this stuff with unity because there's strength in numbers. No, we're not going to pull out the guns and go bullet to bullet with them, but we can resist that because that's what Dr. King did. Passive resistance or civil disobedience. I mean, that continues. That don't never get old to do that. I mean, that don't go out of style. So we stick together and rebuke that resistance and push back on it just as Governor Pritzker did. And I think that we can hold it off. It can be a standoff, because as Dr. King said, how long, not long, because no lie can live forever. I mean, the speech that Dr. King said, how long? And so I believe that, if we remain steadfast, stick together, emphasize coming out voting in the midterm, things might not be perfect, but they'll be all right. But I want to mention to you about this SNAP benefits too, though, Rev, because I believe, those Republicans are really sad because they go in a roundabout way. They take themselves through much trouble rather than do something the easy way. Why would you go along with something where you want to give people partial SNAP benefits rather than open the government where they can get all of their benefits? It's ignorant for what they're doing. And they're doing this stuff because, hey, they it don't look too good for them in the midterm. And the people need their benefits. They need SNAP benefits. Reverend, there's some people that's been talking about people that get them SNAP benefits is lazy. They don't want to work. They want to do nothing. And they say, well, if I get up and work, they should get up and work. They don't need no SNAP benefits. Well, Reverend, you got a lot of mentally ill people, disabled people, elderly people that get them SNAP. Everybody
and
gets
children.
SNAP benefits.
And children.
And children. So everybody get those benefits and not lazy and shifters like even some of our own black people has been putting our people down for them SNAP. The way I see it, my mama, my daddy, my grandparents, my ancestors paid into this system. So anything that they give in black people, they deserve it. We are not taking our SNAP benefits and selling them to get money. And if we do so,
the other thing about that, Andre, is that the majority of people on SNAP benefits are not black, and they've tried to paint it as a black thing when it is not. And fine, if you want to go forward and say that you want to have strict rules on who gets SNAP, all right, fine. To some degree, I probably would agree with you. But do not just stop it all. What they've done is stop the SNAP program. Now the judges say you've got to do it, you've got the money to restore it, and they're debating on when and how they can do that with judges ruling. So it's one thing to say you want to correct something. It's another thing to say you want to end something where legitimately needy people will not get their benefits. And that is, in my opinion, immoral.
And I second that emotion, Rev. I agree with you 110% because these stereotypes play a role in that. Number one, we can't let the Supreme Court forget what they did. Donald Trump already thought he was a king, but since they made that ruling, he acting like a king on steroids. And then the last thing, it was one of them representatives that was racist. I just heard it over the radio the other day, like 2-3 days ago. I don't know who it was, but he said that people shouldn't be getting SNAP benefits and out buying shoes and get their fingernails did. Well, what about the white folks that get them SNAP benefits, like you said, and they going out selling their SNAP benefits so they can buy heroin and buy drugs to use? So, I mean, if you're going to point the finger, you point it to the blacks and the whites. If black people out there selling their stamps to buy their baby's pampers, then the white folks is out there selling
and I think that's exactly right. Pointed at all. It has nothing to do with race. All whites are not buying drugs, and all blacks are not getting their fingernails done. We're talking about what is the program for those that need it. Thank you for your call. Let me also say that forensic accountant says, just say I haven't heard him, talking about Pritzker. She says that Pritzker has been on WVON and told me call Melody Span, who owns the station, and we on at night. I will definitely check it. But I don't want the argument to be whether Pritzker's been on VON or not. He should be. If he hasn't been, if he has been, people ought to be informed by it. I'll invite him on the show. I think the issue is the policies and the programs. Let me bring in from right here in the corporate office, the COO of National Action Network, pastor of the historic Mother Amy Zion Church in Harlem, Reverend Dr. Malcolm Byrd. Reverend Byrd, how's the turnout looking to you so far this election day in Harlem?
I tell you, Reverend, first of all, glad to be on your show again. I'll tell you, the energy is high in Harlem. I went to vote this morning in Harlem, and as I was approaching the polling place, there were kids from Democracy Prep lining the sidewalks, holding signs saying, we can't vote, but you can, calling people in the community in to vote. By the time I got in,
they were not supporting a particular candidate.
No, they were not supporting a candidate. They were just encouraging individuals on the street to go in to vote, to make their voices heard, to go in to vote. And once I got into the polling place, there was a little bit of a line, a lot of activity, and I asked the workers in there what were the numbers looking like earlier in the morning, and they say it was very, very busy. One lady said it was the busiest she has seen it since she's been doing this type of work over the last few years.
That's good.
And so turnout in Harlem undoubtedly will be high. I think that people's participation in this election will prove, it will give us an opportunity to respond to what we see going on in the nation, in the world around us. We have been reminded of the fact that we have a voice, and our voice is our vote. And I think, at least in Harlem, for what I saw this morning, the Harlem community is taking it seriously.
Now, let's let me game out. Well, let me take my break. I want to ask you something on the other side of the break. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Let's go to break. We'll be right back.
Democratic presidential candidate, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Tonight, I want to address my remarks in two parts. One, I'm honored to address the delegates here. Last Friday, I had the experience in Detroit of hearing President George Bush make a speech. And in the speech, he asked certain questions. I hope he's watching tonight. I would like to answer your questions, Mr. President. to our chairman, our delegates, and all that are assembled, we're honored and glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to be joined by supporters and friends from around the country. I'm glad to be joined by my family, Kathy, Dominique, who will be 18, and Ashley. We are here 282 years after, right here in Boston, we fought to establish the freedoms of America. The first person to die in the Revolutionary War is buried not far from here, a black man from Barbados named Crispus Attucks. 40 years ago, in 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party stood at the Democratic Convention in Atlantic City fighting to preserve voting rights for all Americans and all Democrats regardless of race or gender. Hamer's stand inspired Dr. King's March in Selma, which brought about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. 20 years ago, Reverend Jesse Jackson stood at the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco, again appealing to preserve those freedoms. Tonight, we stand with those freedoms at risk and our security as citizens in question. I have come here tonight to say the only choice we have to preserve our freedom at this point in history is to elect John Kerry, the President of the United States. I stood with both John Kerry and John Edwards over 30 occasions in debates during the primary season. I narrated them, I watched them, I observed their deeds, I looked into their eyes. I am convinced that they are men who say what they mean and mean what they say. I am also convinced that at a time when a vicious spirit in the body politic of this country that attempts to undermine America's freedoms, our civil rights, our civil liberties, we must leave this city and go forth and organize this nation for victory for our party and John Kerry and John Edwards in November. But let me quickly say, this is not just about winning an election. It's about preserving the principles on which this very nation was founded. Look at the current view of our nation worldwide as a result of our unilateral foreign policy. We went from unprecedented international support and solidarity on September 12, 2001, to hostility and hatred as we stand here tonight. We can't survive in the world by ourselves. How did we squander this opportunity to unite the world for democracy and to commit to the global fight against hunger and disease? We did it with a go-it-alone foreign policy based on flawed intelligence. We were told that we were going to Iraq because there were weapons of mass destruction. We lost hundreds of soldiers. We spent $200 billion at a time we had record state deficits. And when it became clear that there were no weapons, they changed the premise for the war and said, no, we went because of other reasons. If I told you tonight to let's leave the Fleet Center, we're in danger. And when you get outside, you ask me, Reverend Al, what is the danger? And I say, it don't matter, we just needed some fresh air. I have misled you, and we were misled. also faced with the prospect of, in the next 4 years, that 2 or more Supreme Court justices' seats will become available. This year, we celebrated the anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. This court has voted 5-4 on critical issues of women's rights and civil rights. It is frightening to think that the gains of civil and women's rights and those movements in the last century could be reversed if this administration is in the White House in these next 4 years. I suggest to you tonight that if George Bush had selected the court in '54, Clarence Thomas would have never got to law school.
You're live.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. And Beverly Mims Taylor is on our message board saying, I appreciate you saying that, Reverend. We argue about wrong things. Our governor, and I guess she's from Illinois, has shown action in these turbulent times. Our city is now facing it. It's interesting. 2 people took time to call to discredit of my statement. We have much bigger fish to fry. And like I said, I'll invite the governor on. I think that what Trump is doing and escalating in doing, and the possibility of it even coming to New York, which is what I just raised, is my concern. And I think the governor should do black radio. If he has done it, fine. If he hasn't, he should. But I think the real issue is what's happening to our civil liberties, civil rights, and to innocent, and in some cases, legal people being held and detained. Let's not miss the forest for the trees. Let me come back to you, Reverend Byrd. In your view, give me a brief game out. If Mandani wins, what does that mean? What do you expect will be the reaction from the communities around the city and from the national administration? Trump has already said he's going to block money to the city if Mandani wins. And if Cuomo upsets the polls and wins tonight, what would be the reaction, you think, in the city? And I guess Trump would be happy because Trump endorsed him last night.
He absolutely did. Let's start there. We had an assumption. When I say we, I mean some religious leaders throughout the city who were in regular conversation. We knew that if Donald Trump was going to endorse anybody, he was going to endorse Cuomo, and it came through. And the conversation on the ground, at least in my community, and the calls that I've had from people, is that they are, for the most part, distrustful of any candidate that receives an endorsement from someone who is the enemy of all of the progress that black people have made in this country.
So then what, game it out. If he wins, then what happens?
If he wins, what you'll find is a New York City administration that's being run and dominated by Washington politics. What you'll find is Trump policies creeping into the city of New York through the mayor's office. You can't get an endorsement like that and there not be some conversation regarding what the city will look like and what, insofar as the city leadership moving forward.
So you're saying that if you feel that if Cuomo wins, that he will institute and enforce Trump policies on a local level?
Absolutely.
All right, what happens if Mandani wins?
If Mandani wins, it's precisely what you have said. I think that the focus of this president will turn to New York City, and as we have seen in other cities around the country concerning the ICE issues and sending in federal troops, I think that New York City will be next. It is true. The president said yesterday that that he will send the minimum amount of federal support to the city of New York, and we know when he says minimal, he's going to find a way for it to be zero into the city of New York. So you'll have Donald Trump involvement in this city one way or another. The question is, what kind of involvement do the people of the city of New York want? Do you want a mayor who the president has labeled as one thing, or do you want a mayor who undoubtedly, whose administration will be absolutely influenced by the president that just endorsed him?
And the other thing I think is a larger question and a larger concern to me, and that is we are acting and discussing the President of the United States telling people to vote the way I tell you, I'm going to hold back your money. And this is taxpayers' money. This ain't Trump's money. For him to sit up there and say, if you don't vote for who I like, I'm going to take taxpayers' money and punish you. And I think that is astounding. Let's go to Jewel in New York, New York. Jewel.
We just lost her, sir.
We lost Jewel. I think that it is something that it never fails to strike me as sad when I see how we just subtly get eased into normalizing the outrageous. Because for the President of the United States, in the middle of a shutdown, to go and build a $300 million, or begin building a $300 million ballroom, to cancel supplement nutrition assistance programs for people that are needing some food assistance, while he goes to Mar-a-Lago and has a Great Gatsby theme party, which is the super rich, and then turn around and tell New Yorkers, if you don't vote for who I like, I'm going to cut off your taxpayer dollars to you. And we acting like all this is normal. I mean, this is about as outrageous from the Gatsby party to the cutting off SNAP to and the same time the government workers shut down, but you got contractors tearing down the east wing of the White House to build you a ballroom. And we acting like this stuff is within the realms of normal.
Right. And I would say, Rev, not only is it abnormal, but we are slipping into a national state where I'm not sure if we've ever been in this type of place before. Let's not forget, Donald Trump likes to bark edicts. He views himself as a king, as a potentate, as someone with absolute authority. So when he says to the people of New York, if you don't vote the way I want, we're going to take funds away from you. That's someone who likes to throw around threats and threatening individuals with lawsuits and with retribution. That's kind of his thing. But to go back to your point regarding the White House, Reverend, and building this alleged $300 million ballroom, I think Donald Trump really needs to remember that the White House, with all of its beauty and all of its splendor, is public housing. And I think that for someone who lives in the people's house, who lives in public housing, ought to know that people who are on SNAP benefits are not people who just don't have jobs. You have people who work 40 hours a week who still need SNAP benefits and WIC benefits in order to make ends meet. I want us to stop this narrative that somehow SNAP recipients are not working and are not doing their part to make an earnest living. You're not dealing with a system where people are just, the entire system is just giving people who are not working food and access to food. These people go to work every day. People we look at every single day who we don't even know who are on SNAP benefits. So I want us to humanize this issue to a degree where when we consider individuals who are on SNAP benefits, consider people who you work with, consider people who you ride the train with, consider people you attend religious services with. You never know. Someone you know might be on SNAP benefits.
And that's all over the country.
All over.
We on a message board, the mayor, Rodney Jones, says that's why mayoral candidates invited to NAN events didn't show. You can't be for us and be missing in action. And what he's referring to, I don't mind saying it publicly, we invited all the mayoral candidates to march with us on Wall Street, August 28th. Martin Luther King III and I and National Action Network led it. Thousands came out. Andrew Cuomo and Mandani had confirmed they'd be there. Only Mandani showed up. We invited all the candidates to the Triumph Awards, our annual cultural event where we honored Babyface and Stephanie Mills, among others, Ari Melba from MSNBC. Mandani showed up. Andrew Cuomo had confirmed he was coming, didn't come. On both occasions, never even called me to say why not, even after he confirmed. I believe now, maybe he didn't come because he knew he couldn't identify with Nan and I if he was negotiating with Trump, who was tweeting against me and every chance he got, or whatever you call it, on Truth Social. So, and that's his right. If that's the political choice that Andrew wanted to make, then fine. But I think that the mayor, Rodney Jones, is right when he brings it up, that if you're going to do that, you make that choice to do that. You have the right to do it. But then people have the right to judge you by the choices you make. And I think that people just need to put all the facts out there. And I think that a lot of us just don't want to admit what we're looking at. And if we see what we are seeing, say what we seeing. And I think this is absolutely wrong. All right, let's take a break. We're coming right back. More of you on the phones, 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Please receive one of the greatest voices for the urban community. One, amen. Not them yet. This is one of the greatest voices, not many of the greatest voices. We're going to adjust the program quickly at this time. This man has spoken out. He stood on the front line. He has been a man for the people, of the people. Please receive Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Bishop. To the Franklin family and to all of us gathered, Aretha Franklin was not only an unparalleled artist, she was a civil rights activist and freedom fighter. It is easy to celebrate the gifts that God gives. It is more difficult when someone uses those gifts in ways that enhances humanity. Aretha Franklin was given special gifts, but she used it in a special way. And she would not want us to celebrate her without talking about she stood for something. She never shamed us. She never disgraced us. She never made us make excuses for her. She represented the best in our community, and she fought for our community until the end. I first met Miss Franklin when I was a teenager. I'd become youth director of New York Operation Breadbasket, and she would come to the strategy meetings with Reverend Jackson. And I would hear the stories of how when Dr. Martin Luther King couldn't make payroll, Harry Belafonte and Aretha Franklin went on an 11-city tour to raise money for Martin Luther King. A lot of artists hang up Dr. King's photo, but Aretha went and raised money and gave it and worked free. Her daddy marched with Dr. King, and she never stopped supporting. As the years went by and I developed National Action Network, and she would call my radio show and have me come to her affairs. She called me one day. She said, "Reverend Mal, I want to send you something." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "What's your home address?" And she sent it. About 3 days later, I got a check made out National Action Network signed by Aretha Franklin. I saw about a month later, I said, "You know, I was so blown away. I grew up looking up to you that I framed that check." She said, "Boy, don't you have a copy machine?" She said, "You don't know how I am with my bank accounts. You better cash that check." And but all of her life, she supported the causes. She was a feminist before feminism was popular. She was a civil rights activist when it wasn't popular. She gave us pride, and she gave us a regal bar to reach. And that's why we're all here. We don't all agree on everything, but we agree on Aretha. And she fought for everybody. I remember when we were used to picket, Charles Williams and all of us jumping on the record industry, she said, "Now y'all leave Clive Davis alone. He's one of the good ones." She loved Clive and said, "We got to remember what happened to the Irish and what happened to Jews and what happened to blacks." And that is why we remember her legacy, because she sang a song for all of us. She was the soundtrack of the civil rights movement. If you track where we are, you can follow where Aretha had us. That's why when I look at her and James Brown, whose daughter is here, and others who paid a price, that opened the door, but never forgot where they came from. She was rooted in the black church. She was bathed in the black church. And she took the black church downtown and made folks that didn't know what the Holy Ghost was shout in the middle of a concert. You never saw her perform without her doing gospel, because she never was one to forget where she came from. And that's why we give her this great homegoing. We thank her for what she did with Dr. King. We thank her for what she's done with Reverend Jackson. We thank her for what she's done with all of us. And that is why, you know, the other Sunday on my show, I misspelled respect. And a lot of y'all corrected me. Now I want y'all to help me correct President Trump to teach him what it means. And I say that because when word had went out that Miss Franklin passed, Trump said she used to work for me. No, she used to perform for you. She worked for us. Aretha never took orders from nobody but God. So Aretha, as you get your rest, my mother passed about 6 years ago. President Clinton, my mother and I had a deal. She said, "I'll meet you on the other side. You live the way you're supposed to, and I'll see you in heaven." I said, "Well, Ma, they tell me there is no bodies in heaven, just spirits. How am I going to know you? I know her sons are How will I know it? She said, I'll tell you, you meet me at the exchange counter. I said, exchange counter? What kind of exchange counter? She said, well, right after you get through the Golden Gates, there's an exchange counter. That's where you hand in your cross to pick up your crown. We watched Aretha bear her cross down here. She had to sing with a broken heart. She had to work when she didn't get paid. She was a black woman in a white man's world. She bared her cross. She fought a good fight. Now it's time to crown the queen. I'll see you at the exchange counter where you can now hand in your cross. Ain't no cancer over there, Aretha. Hand in your cross and pick up your crown. As I take my seat, I've been asked to read this. Don't do that. Because I only have 5 minutes and y'all will make me go into something else. Dear friends and family of Aretha, Michelle and I extend our heartfelt sympathies to all of those who gathered in Detroit, and we join you in remembering and celebrating the life of the Queen of Soul. From a young age, Aretha Franklin rocked the world of anyone who had the pleasure of hearing her voice, whether bringing people together through thrilling intersections of genres or advancing important causes through the power of song. Aretha's work reflected the very best of the American story in all of its hope and heart, its boldness and its unmistakable beauty. In the examples she set both as an artist and a citizen, Aretha embodied those most revered virtues of forgiveness and reconciliation, while the music she made captured some of our deepest human desires, namely affection and respect. And through her voice, her own voice, Aretha lifted those of millions, empowering and inspiring the vulnerable, the downtrodden. Do we have wall run? Real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Let me go right back to the phones. David in San Francisco, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
And then I also thought that people...
Oh, thanks, Reverend. Yeah, I'm just about to get a flu shot, so I hope I don't start crying like a little girl. But what I was going to raise, I don't know if you heard on the news today, there were at least 7 different counties in New Jersey that had bomb threats at the voting sites. And, you know, the expectation is that the New Jersey election is going to go to the Democrats. So it's pretty obvious that it's the Republicans that are doing these bomb threats. So I
they
guess
had
the first
7
question
election sites with bomb threats?
Yeah, you can look it up. That's 7 different counties. Yeah, I remember Bergen was one. That there were, yeah, they listed 7 different sites or 7 different counties. And since Pam Bondi is the Attorney General, the obvious question is whether or not she would do any investigation of these.
Now, did they close down the sites? Do you know?
They closed some temporarily, and in some cases they moved. I remember one site got moved to a courthouse, and the other site got moved to a school some distance away.
Wow, tricks, politics.
Oh yeah, but you know, that seems like organized crime to me. And since Donald Trump has had decades-long ties to organized crime, you know, I would think that Pam Bondi should be looking at this with alacrity. And boy, I just got my shot and I hardly felt a thing.
And you didn't cry like a little boy or a little
I
girl.
didn't even cry once.
Yep.
Not even a little boo-boo.
Yeah, that's a good thing. See, when you're on Keeping It Real, it gives you strength. All right, thank you for your call. Let me go to Spencer in Little Mountain.
No trouble.
Spencer.
Hello. Well, quickly, this is what I want to talk about. It's just so unusual, and I'm gonna go spiritually a little bit here for a second. Dick Cheney died last night. If Dick Cheney had waited and died 2 days from now, you know, Trump would have his power to do things. Now, what I'm trying to say is Dick Cheney is a real Republican. For making people think now what in the heck is going on, Dick Cheney's death is going to make people realize something have really happened to America. Now, you know, I'm a Democrat, but when people are real behind what they think, and then they look at things humanistically on how to better things for everybody from their point of view, yeah, I can deal with them. Now look at Liz Cheney. For the last month and a half, 2 months, she's been quiet. And the reason for it, her father was sick and was going towards fatalness.
Rev, I got Reverend Wall running for you.
Because he don't like Dick Cheney. So we're going to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I think that is an interesting point you raised. We're joined now by the senior pastor of the First Corinthian Baptist Church of Harlem, member of the National Board of National Action Network, Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. Reverend Walron, first of all, what is your appraisal of what you've seen thus far in terms of turnout for the elections, both in New York and New Jersey? I'm assuming you been moving between both. Do we have Walron?
He's up. He's not speaking.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Hello? Okay.
I hear you now.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think we've seen these early voting numbers in New York, which I think trying to kind of read the tea leaves as it go for Cuomo or Mamdani is not the point. The point is that for many people in New York, this is a consequential election. And so that turnout is an indicator of how important this election is to people and that they're coming out in these big numbers. I think the same thing in Jersey. I think in New Jersey, we already seen from the presidential election the kind of shift in the voting demographic in Jersey. And so whether Democrats want to admit it or not, this is really a referendum in Jersey on the Democratic Party. We saw Jersey's numbers still went for the Democratic nominee for president, but those numbers for the Democrat turn decreased. So I think in both of these races, there's a lot at stake beyond just who wins, is what is being said by who wins. I think in New York City, the mayor's race, that's going to be closer than people think. Only because we've learned not to really pay attention to polls, Rev. We talked about that. But there's a demographic that really this may hang the balance, and is this, and I've spoken to some people, they've agreed, moderate Republicans in New York City, who will they vote for? Who will the moderate Republicans vote for?
Well, and I think that's why Trump came out last night. But go ahead.
Yeah, but let me tell you my tactic on Trump. My thought, the Trump and the people who are the puppet masters of Trump are very tactical. In my heart of hearts, Rev, I've spoken to two political consultants who run two different consulting agencies. They'd agreed that when you come out, and as Trump knows that his endorsement is toxic, but Trump really wants Mamdani to be the mayor.
Yeah, no, that's why he came out last night. He could have left it alone, no doubt about it.
He could have left it alone.
Right.
So there are people. See, here's the part where people not getting, Rev, and you probably heard it. People, oh, I can't vote for Cuomo because Trump support him. No, Trump wants that. That's what he wants. That's what he wants. He wants to drive people to Mamdani. He believes in his mind that with Mamdani's man, there's more he can get done, that he doesn't feel Mamdani can handle the federal government. I mean, you go on and on. So I think that's the case. But I do think this election will be closer in New York City than we think. It's going to be interesting when these polls start closing and these results come out. I don't think it's a middle ground. I think it's going to either be a landslide or super close. I don't think it's going to be a middle ground here on this thing.
I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that, and I'm getting that feeling. The one thing I think that is going to be the saving grace in New York is that if Mamdani wins, and I told him this morning, we were on Morning Joe together, and we talked obviously off camera, is that Trump has also got to deal with the fact that there's state elections next year for governor, state attorney general, and Governor Hochul, Attorney General Tish James, State Controller DiNapoli are going to have to fight with all they got, including with their state funds and all, to counter whatever Trump does to win their own elections. They can't look like Trump came in here and made them wimps. So it's not that he will only have to deal with Mamdani. He's going to have to deal with Hochul and all of them. They'll be tying him up in these state courts and all of that. It's not going to be as easy as he thinks, because this is not his money. This is taxpayers' money.
No.
And taxpayers can go into state courts and say, we want our money released. This can get a little more complicated than he thinks.
Oh, absolutely. Well, what we know is that I think, Rev, the Trump side is aware of difficulty, but it's what they're doing. Let's see if we can get away with it. That's been their whole presidency. Let's see what we can get away with. Let's see if they fight. Let's see if they challenge. And what they get challenged on, they get challenged. What they can get away with, they get away with. So I agree with you that I think there's a part of them that's always, they're always going to try to push the envelope on Trump's side. The question is how much fight is in people on the opposite side. And I think that becomes the issue. But listen, Rev, I am looking forward to about 11 o'clock tonight to see what it's going to be like in New York, because this is a big race, and it's one of the most consequential ones we've seen in a long time.
No, it is.
You know, Mamdani was at the church on Sunday.
Okay.
And so, and came for the entire service. I made fun. I told him, I said, well, I've seen you been in a lot of places, but clearly, I said, you saved the best for last.
That was a good one. But, no, he was there at Nan Saturday, and Patrick Gaspar. Yeah, Patrick Gaspar told me they were going 1 Corinthians. I told him that I'm surprised he hadn't been there earlier, but that was a good move. Let me get ready to take a break. We'll come right back. More of you on the phones, 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, Walron, keeping it real. Be right back. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there, and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special, special place in my heart and on my shelf, because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, christen your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. Us that storytelling is a sacred work. Some people report the news, others interpret it, but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Ari understands that our narratives shape our nation, and he has used his platform to highlight issues that matter to the people, not just to the powerful. Tonight, we honor him for bridging art and activism, for using his voice to educate, inspire, and empower. Join me, please, in celebrating Ari Melba, recipient of the President's Award of Historic Transformative Leadership.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? First of all, Babyface is 67 years old. We might need a fact check on that. What an honor to be up here with Rev and everyone else. When Rev started out, they said, he's just doing this to get on TV. Now he has a TV show. He kept along and they said, well, he's just setting himself up to run for office, be a politician. Now he has the politicians coming here to be accountable to you. We're celebrating his 71st birthday, God bless. I don't think he's planning to run for office in his late 70s or 80s, although people do that nowadays. I don't know if you've heard. So as far as I can tell, maybe he was doing it for the people. Maybe he was doing it for voting rights and human rights and being an advocate for people in communities where when bad things do happen, they don't have a local advocate or a federal advocate, or suddenly it doesn't feel like they have anyone who cares about what's happening to them. So it's funny, in the middle you can't always prove the case, but by this stage in his illustrious contributions to the United States, he's doing it for everyone. So shout out to Rev. I'm really honored to get this award. My grandmother was a refugee. My father's an immigrant. Like a lot of other people that I get to interact with, I'm very aware that my worst days are better than some of their best days. And so I keep that in mind, and I know Rev does and a lot of other people do. This award was called Leadership in the Arts. I'm honored by it. I love the arts. I won't say whether I've ascended to being a leader in the arts, but I will share with you the leaders I learned from. I learned civil rights from Sam Cooke. I learned about colonialism from Bob Marley. I learned about activism from Gil Scott-Heron. He said the revolution will not be televised. We're working on that. Reb and I are working on that. I learned about the media from KRS-One. I learned about politics from Public Enemy. I learned about police brutality from Tupac and about feminism from Lauryn Hill. So when I was growing up, I did okay in school, but I was quickly learning as a teenager there was all of these parts that weren't in the official story, but they were true. So yes, we try to reflect some of that in our reporting. In times like this right now in America, art and free speech are under attack. It's not just the historians, bless them, it's not just the normal newspaper reporters, bless them, it's also the comedians, from Kimmel to D.L. Hughley. It's also the artists. We've seen the crackdowns on people who sing or share their thoughts through other forms of expression. And so, in a moment like this, as we've seen in, unfortunately, other countries around the world, it feels like just telling the truth becomes a radical act. That's a bad sign for the health of your democracy. But the truth can help redeem our democracy. So I'll end with a bar. Is that all right? Should we do one bar? From New York's own Jay-Z, Sean Carter, Hove. He's talking about people that might not be truthful with you, that might not keep it a buck. And he said, they're all actors, looking at themselves in the mirror backwards. Can't even face themselves, don't fear no rappers. They're all weirdos, De Niro's in practice. So don't believe everything your earlobe captures. It's mostly backwards. Unless it happens to be as accurate as me. And everything said in song you happen to see. Then actually believe half of what you see. None of what you hear, even if it's spat by me. So we will keep spitting facts with the humble confidence of Sean Carter on our best day. And you can keep making up your own mind, because we gonna be all right. Thank you. Thank you.
You're live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host. Keeping it real. Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Michael A. Waldron is our co-host, as he is every Tuesday. Reverend, as we look at this election day, we are not just going to be New York-centric. The first 2 hours of the show, I talked about how we're also looking at some vital elections around the country. Proposition 50 in California may determine where we go with voting rights in this country, at least the voting redistricting, which is part of that. The race in New Jersey, which you mentioned, between which Mikey Sherrill and the Republican opponent, the race in the judges' races and the district attorney race in Pennsylvania, and then the race in Virginia for governor. So there's a lot of races, all of which is going to be interesting. And I agree with you about New York. It is somewhere, it may go all the way more than we thought as a landslide, or a lot closer than we thought. And the other thing that I'm going to be looking for tonight is, does the Democrats / progressives win in one or two of these areas and lose in the other? Do we win Virginia and lose New Jersey? Do we win, progressives win New York City and lose Prop 50 in California? So there's a lot that we are to be watchful for tonight. I don't hear Walron.
He's up. I don't hear him.
I didn't hear. Something's happened because I didn't hear you for the last few minutes you said.
Oh, okay. No, what I was saying is that I agree with you that we could end up with a landslide more than we thought, or with it being close in New York. But we also need to watch around the country. Prop 50 in California can be a real bellwether on we're dealing with voting rights. The gubernatorial race in Virginia, the gubernatorial race in New Jersey, which you mentioned, the district attorney race in Philly, and the judges race. And what I'm saying is I'm going to be watching to see you could win Virginia and lose Jersey, Democrats to Republicans. Yeah. You can get a vote for Mandani in New York and lose Prop 50. So this is not going to be, you cannot read the mood of the country off of one race unless there seems to be a thread that goes nationwide. I think we've got to be real clinical on what we look for tonight.
Well, your word, Rev, stands out, a bellwether. This is what happens tonight in these various races sets the tone and temperament for how we move forward, right? And I think that's when it becomes interesting. I don't know how many times we've seen in this kind of election where at the same time an election in New Jersey, an election in Virginia, a proposition on the ballot in California all have consequential outcomes that are important to how we move forward, especially the Democratic Party. And I think that's what makes this so interesting. As you said in the past, we can say, okay, we got the mayor's race we're focusing on. But for those of us who understand what is happening now politically in this country, we know that New York is one thing, Virginia is one thing, Jersey is one thing, California is one, and they all point in a particular direction that will either empower the Democratic Party or undermine the possibility of fighting over the next 3 years or next year and a half, 2 years going into the midterms. Because you don't want to get to the point, Rev, where we come out on the wrong side tonight and the only thing we have to say, well, we got the midterms coming. Tonight is big. Tonight is big for the Democratic Party. And many people may not understand that, but it's very big for the Democratic Party. It signals where we're going, and it signals what is happening. Because there was never, like you said, think about the possibility, Rev, that we could win Virginia and lose New Jersey. We've never thought about that before.
Right.
Traditionally, it's the other way around. You could win New Jersey and lose Virginia. I say, okay,
right.
lose Virginia.
That's right.
But this is something completely different we're facing. And it says a lot about how we face these next 3 years of Trump and how we ought to prepare for these midterms. And hopefully the outcome of tonight points us in a direction where we can begin to fortify ourselves for the midterm, prepare ourselves for 28. So this is an interesting night. Like you said, Rev, I don't know the last time, and I know other than in a non-presidential year, where our eyes were attuned to so many different races around the country.
Absolutely.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since that has happened, but this is one of those moments.
And
what happened tonight says a lot.
It says a lot, and being that I do a national television show, national radio, I have people that are just as vested in California and Virginia as they are in New York or New Jersey, where I might live most of the time. So that's why I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing the same level of passion and intensity in how the public is responding. Let's go to Ron in Maryland on the phone. Ron, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Walron.
Well, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, and good afternoon to you, Reverend Walron. I want to bring to our community's attention something that sort of got lost on the smoke and mirrors. James Wright, African-American journalist here in Washington, D.C., who writes for the Washington Informer, did an interesting article called Joint Centers Condemns Trump Administration's Decision to Eliminate the CDF Fund Staff. And let me share with your listening audience what that stands for. Community Economic Financial Institution Funds, which was developed by Congress to, in fact, recognize the critical social problems affecting our nation's low-income communities rooted in a host of critical economic problems: stagnant growth, widespread unemployment, poverty, inadequate access to financial services and education. To help revitalize these communities, Congress has this fund. Now you have community development banks, credit unions, loan funds, venture capital groups. All of them are dedicated to the same purpose of working with these low and moderate communities. And since 1994, $3 billion in FA and TA awards, over $300 billion have been invested in 44 states, and over $300 billion in total investment into 1.4 million small businesses, with $58.8 billion of financing for small business, and supported over more than 557,000 low-income affordable housing projects. Now, the Trump administration, under the smoke and mirrors, has fired the entire staffing.
Wow.
And the Biden-Harris administration has pumped $1.3 trillion, which was going to go out through the CDFIs. And what they did this, Rev, they put a freeze on hold on all this grant money going out, and then Trump brought Zealand in the EPA, and they started raking them back billions of dollars. One particular fund called the Greenhouse Gas Initiative Fund had $27 billion in it. $7 billion was for a Solar for All program to help 990,000 U.S. citizens get solar systems on their rooftops nationwide, and the payoff for this for the Trump administration is that they formed an unholy alliance with the fossil fuel industry and the tech industry to use natural gas or gas turbine technology to power these data centers, which have pushed up everybody's utility bills because of AI.
But Ron, all that's deliberate, because you have to ask yourself, first of all, the investments that they were going to put over $1 trillion, subverted by Trump and them. But don't underestimate that there are some interests that Trump wants to have served there. It is not lost on me that both where he's gone in this so-called assault on drug dealers in Venezuela, and now to save Christians in Darfur, are all oil-rich countries. So all of this is connected, and is all business. Don't forget when Noah asked him the other night on 60 Minutes about why he pardoned the crypto guy who's in business with his family. He said, "Oh, I didn't know the guy. I didn't know who it was." Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Walron. Be right back. tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
When they came from the dream.
It's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron is our co-host. And let me again, by way of announcements, again say, make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to have all of the people that will be reacting, responding, and strategizing around the election results tonight nationwide: California, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and where we go from here. But at the same time, we need the breakdown of where we are with the lockdown, because Congress, Speaker Johnson has not called the House back into session. So there will probably still be a lockdown at the end of the week, or they're on the verge of a deal. Believe me, I'll have the people in the room, the senators or the Congress people. So make sure you watch that, as well as where we are with now that 2 federal judges have told the administration of Donald Trump that they have to use the discretionary funds they had set aside for in case of emergencies and pay the SNAP people, where we will be. You have a lot of reasons to watch Politics Nation this weekend, and I'm on the phone making sure the people in the room with the power and the influence are there to tell you about it. And by the way, thanks to all of you that have supported it. I got the ratings from last weekend, and we beat CNN again. This is about the 6th week in the ratings, which means more of you are watching us than other cable stations, and we appreciate that support. I was telling somebody last night, Dr. Walron, that we almost, you're younger than me, but you're old enough to remember when you had blacks hosting shows on TV. If you think about it now, I'm one of the few black hosts that has his own show. Most blacks now, they put on panels, and you have panel stuff, and you don't have your own singular show. And we've got to support wherever we are. But I remember the time we had blacks having their own shows, and locally we had everything from Positively Black to Like It Is with Gil Noble. All that's gone.
That's right.
And I think people need to, and so is black radio. A lot of black-owned radio gone. I remember in New York we had WLIB, WBLS, KISS Radio, and WWRL. Now you're down to one, and we don't own that one. So the power to communicate, people say, well, it's shifted, Reverend, to social media, but we don't own that. Elon Musk owns X. They're buying up all social media, and when they get ready, they will clamp you down off social media because they own it. So all of the social media, Twitter revolutionaries are depending on Elon Musk and that type to get your message across. We've got to be real careful how you handle communications, and that's important. Also, make sure you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally. Certainly it will be the rally after the election. We'll deal with what is the future in Harlem and around the tri-state area, as well as nationwide, our next step. And we're getting ready for our moving forward on our buying and attending shareholders meetings on the companies we've targeted that ended DEI, as well as getting ready for how we would be of food assistance. We're working with several companies to get people food assistance during this time, as we always do it during the holidays, but we're going to do it earlier this year, given the draconian way the Trump administration is behaving. Dr. Walron, what's going on FCBC?
Well, Rev, before I say that, I got to go back to something you just said. I never thought about it till you just said it, how we measure progress in our community by the various information outlets we have access to. As you said that, I thought about the 70s and 80s and 90s and the amount of black shows we had. I never understood the profound impact of a Gil Noble until even now, as you said it, and reflecting about the lack of outlets we have, how radio is going down, print media is going down in our community. And you would not have thought that somehow those days were more progressive than these days.
That's right.
And so it's interesting when you begin to analyze the regression in many ways of our various outlets of information compared to now. So that was a powerful analysis.
And let me say this, and then I want you to get to FCBC. What they've tricked a lot of us in is acting like there's progress. Well, it's decentralized now because we can do it on social media, but we don't own the social media. No. Just like we no longer own record companies, like we used to own Motown and Stax and Philly International. Yep. It's all live stream. We don't own the live stream. So what they've done in tricking our young people in the name of you the new thing is take total control of the culture of our community.
Here's what happened, Rev. They've seemingly expanded opportunity but killed ownership.
That's right.
Right? That's what happened, and that's what's the difference, you know. And so many people are enamored by the monetization of opportunity, they stop thinking about ownership.
That's right.
And I think that's the downfall of this moment. Rev, here's what I'll tell you at FCBC. This coming weekend, we're celebrating the second anniversary, Rev, of FCBC LA.
Wow.
I'll be in LA this weekend for our second anniversary, and it has been a beautiful journey so far. We've also moved, Rev. I think you knew before we were there. I was there once a month. Now we're in LA twice a month. So we're building momentum and intensifying the impact of it, and I'm extremely proud. And something that you can understand, having been in the church for years, is that after 1 year of the church, it was completely self-sufficient, Rev.
Wow. So, now that's major there, Doctor. That's major.
Big time.
And I might say, you can't say it because you're there. I can say it. I have an office of Nan there, but not a church. Is that is difficult in the L.A. market. L.A. is not an easy market to draw from. I can say that. That's a very, very difficult area to organize in.
And I'll tell you, part of the was to go out L.A. with a challenge. I'll make you laugh, Rev. People say, why go to L.A.? I said, well, one, we have a lot of people out there. Two, it was challenging, and I love the challenge. And three, if it didn't work, it was cross-country. Wouldn't nobody say anything.
No, you got an advantage there, but I'm telling you, it is and part of it is geopolitical because it's so spread out. So you could get Compton, but you didn't touch Watson. You got that, and then you got the different. I've never seen classism so expressed as it is in the black community in LA. It's a hard one. I mean, I've been, we've had office out there 20 years, and we kind of worked through it. But to have a church, which is why you don't have a lot of major churches out there, it's very hard.
No. It's tough, as you said it. Everything is spread out. There's no centralized area. You don't have mass transportation system that's strong.
No.
You go on and on, the things that work against it. And so it was a challenge, but man, we've been able to grow and have a central location. We worship our space in Inglewood, California, which is close to the airport, close to all the redevelopment that's taking place in preparation for the Olympics.
Right.
So it has been amazing to see, but it has not been easy, but it has been amazing to see the growth of it. And so I'm excited, Rev. So we're celebrating that this weekend.
Well, congratulations, and that is no small feat. And believe me, I know that. And certainly the persistence and consistency of you and the FCBC staff is important, and maintaining your home base in Harlem at the same time. I think that people do not understand. There's a lot of people in my lane that are activists but never build an organization. And so that's why they come up, get hot a minute, and fade, because if you don't build an institution, it won't keep going. And people need something that keeps going. But they don't want to meet a payroll every week and pay rents all over the country or mortgages on office buildings. they want, I'm popular on social media, which they can cut you off when they get ready. And that's why I say you need both. I use social media, but I also built an organization and build a presence on radio and TV. You got to do that, and believe me, when what you've done is something in your generation stands out. Most of the people in your generation that we know as known ministers inherited something. You built something basically that was just about defunct, and you brought it back to life and expanded it. It's amazing, the FCBC story.
And Rev, can I say this real quick, something you be proud of? This past Sunday, my son preached at Bethany Baptist Church.
Wow, that's the church he and I come out of. I was rebaptized in Bethany. That's Jenny Jones Austin's daddy, Reverend William Jones, and that's where Warren come out. Talking about going full circle. That sends me home with a smile. Let me thank Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Mayor Rodney Jones just joined me on the message board saying, keep